RFK Jr., Tylenol, autism? Facts ain't the point. The other thing I want to talk about is RFK Jr. and autism. RFK, I wrote a foreword just for you. Give me a couple minutes. I'll show you why RFK's autism claims aren't about helping anyone. They're about eradicating people like me. And his science is just a fig leaf. Then I get up in his face with a manifesto I wrote months ago that turns out to be exactly what this moment needs. Content note, political commentary, personal autistic experience, and the occasional wisecrack. Dear RFK Jr., Tylenol is my vitamin autism. It's ironic that U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. settled on Tylenol out of all the poorly evidenced fictitious causes of autism. Better minds than mine are already headed to the courts to duke out the fact that no substantive scientific research supports RFK Jr.'s claims. Again, I have some sources in the supporting article on my Substack. So at this point, I'll just casually whisper pseudoscience and point out the fight over the truth of his claims is pointless. I don't believe he cares if it's true. He has an agenda. He'll use anything to meet that agenda. It's the same agenda that Trump and his movement have. They won't let facts get in their way. If we refute their facts, they'll just find new ones. The facts aren't the point. The science aren't the point. Their agenda? Call it survival of the fittest, purity of the national blood, or herd immunity. Their solution to improving America has eugenics at its heart. You know, let the weak die off. Whether it's COVID, measles, or perceived weaknesses like neurodivergence, let people like me die off. If we can't be productive, what use are we to the state? For God's sake, don't let us breed and pass on our weak genes. I hope you hear the heavy irony in my voice. This isn't, the way they're presenting it isn't a gentle concern for parents suffering. Not talking about the children suffering at all. God knows it's not concern for adult autistics like me, this whole business about what causes autism and can we cure it or can we put a chip in your head or whatever. It's rabid eugenics. In other words, increasing the gene pool, increasing the strength of the breeding stock. We're all breeding stock to them by simply keeping the strong ones and letting everybody else die off. They may wear the mask of compassion, but what they're really talking about is very much the same thing you might have seen if you watched Man in the High Castle, where one of the top commanders watched his son killed, or submit to being killed, because he was genetically different. Basically, if they can't fix us, it means they want to eradicate us, one way or another. I wrote a foreword to my recent book of poetry and art, and there's a link somewhere in the article that accompanies this. I wrote it some months ago, but now I see it not as a foreword to my humble little book, but as a foreword to a better future for me and people like me. Ultimately, I hope all Americans. If this resonates for you, hit subscribe. More trigger warnings content coming. And the full text with sources is always on my Substack. But before I dive into that forward, let me offer a kind word for Tylenol. I began using Tylenol daily after reading that it works differently than NSAIDs like ibuprofen. It changes the experience of pain itself neurologically. It's not about reducing inflammation that causes pain. It's about changing pain. And it appears to work on all forms of pain, including, possibly, some evidence, emotional. Specifically, there's research showing effects on emotional processing, consistent with the overlapping neural circuits for physical, emotional, and social pain. Okay, now here's the foreword. I wrote this some months before this came to a head, but I saw it coming. Some of this you may have heard before. Most you won't have. I'm autistic, born 1953. I was not a product of a vaccine. I was not a product of disease, mental or physical. I was not a mistake, genetic or epigenetic or otherwise. I was not born to be fixed by cognitive behavioral therapy, pill, or a chip. I was not born to be pitied. I was born to raise hell, autistic style. How does my autistic poetry and other work fit in? I'm not out to inspire you or teach you or even reassure you everything's going to be okay. I'm out to give you an experience of a life. None of us are the same. This is how my mind works. My heart feels. My life is lived. I think and feel in images, fragments, repetitions, blank space. So I write like that. Some autistics can't even see mental pictures, but our stories each illuminates a corner of our strange world. A world that 97% of humanity can never travel to. The unvarnished pain and the moments of joy in all their glorious extremes. Not polite, polished, arty work written for journal editors, but simple, direct language, built-in layers, but no hidden meanings. To grab the most possible people touched by autism. Fellow autistics, their families, friends, allies, most of all researchers. God knows I wish researchers understood us. Because deep inside this gruff, septuagenarian exterior, I still hold on to my enthusiastic, childlike belief. If we understand each other, we can raise a little hell together. Say, like, build a better world for all our kids. Now, I hope you see how these two pieces go together. The other was written as a foreword to the book, and I wanted to read it as it was without changing the spirit, because I was pretty sure I'd lose the strength of what I had there. But we can put our heads together and build a life that's not dog-eat-dog, where we're not the only, multicellular species on the planet that its chief prey is each other. That's what capitalism is. Each of us turning on each other, till in the end only a few survive, and then they fight over it. You guys know I'm an imagistic thinker. I tend to throw out 2 or 3 images or idea fragments without explaining, as if you can see the images in my head, and as if the meaning were obvious from their connections or oppositions. Bad habit. As I edited this piece, I realized I needed to give you a topic sentence to hold on to. I struggle with that. Big picture, this isn't about Tylenol or vaccines or even science. It's about who gets to exist, whether they produce for the state or not. I hope you can hear that in this foreword. Listen, you guys take care. My last word to the book. I want you all to stay safe, stay weird, stay fierce. We can pull this off. Coming soon, how resistance actually works. Not protests or petitions, the kind that builds power from your hometown up. My new chapbooks linked below if you want more of the actual experience of being autistic. But mostly, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Stay connected on Substack for the deep dives. And thanks for letting me get up in RFK Jr.'s face